Hey guys, welcome back to another video in our React for Beginners series. So in this video, we are going to build a responsive navigation bar using React and React Router. Let me show you the demo that we are going to build in this video. So this is the web page that we are going to build in this video. You will see that we have a navigation bar with a logo and we have the menu items, and each menu items is a component. So if we click on the key feature, then we are going to route to a key feature page, and you can see that the URL also changes. If we go to the pricing, then the URL will change to pricing and we will be navigating to the pricing component. And when we actually reduce the screen size, so in the smaller screen also will be a responsive navigation bar. So if I click on this hamburger menu, then we will have a slide menu sliding from the right hand side. And if we hover on the menu items, we see the transition effect. If we click on testimonial, we will go to the testimonial component. If we go to key features, we will navigate to key features. So this is what we are going to build in this video. So if this sounds interesting, then stick around. Also, if you are new to this channel, then don't forget to subscribe the channel and press the bell icon so that you don't miss the videos like this one. So let's get started. Alright guys, so I have already created the React app. So if you want to create the React app, you can simply use the npx create react app and the name of your application. And after that, I have run my development environment, which is the localhost 3001. So the first thing we are going to do is we are going to delete all the default files and the code which we got from the React app, and then we are going to create our own folder structure. So let's go to the Explorer, and in the Explorer we can see that we don't want these files. So let's remove these files. I don't want index, and I will just hit the delete, and it's going to delete all the files. I'm going to get an error, so we are going to solve that error in a bit. Now let's go to the index.js, and inside the index.js we don't have this file, so let me remove this. Let me remove this as well, and we're going to remove this as well. All right, and inside our app.js we don't have this logo, so let me remove this. All right, and let's clean up this app function. So let me clean up this app function, and I'm just going to write a div, and I'm going to do a hello world. All right, so now we can see the hello world, and I have also done few things in the public. So inside the public in the index.html, I have added two links. The one link is the Google font, which we are going to use for this project, and the other one is the font awesome, because we are going to use some of the font awesome icons. So let's close this, and let's close index.js, and let's close the app.js as well. So the first thing we are going to start with is creating some of the files and some of the folder structure. So the first thing I want is I always create a components folder. So let's go and create a components folder. And inside the components folder, I'm going to move this app.js and app.css. I'm going to hit move, and yes, I have the app.css and JS in the components, and it's going to give me an error. So let's resolve that error. So let's go to the index, and let's change this to components, and inside the components is our app. All right, so now we get the hello world back, and we will be creating more folders. So the one folder will be for the images, because I have a background image. The another folder I want to create is for the pages. So each of the menu items is an individual page. That means an individual component. So let's go and create the components. So inside the components, the first one I'm going to create is the demo.js. Then I'm going to create the home.js. So home.js. Then I'm going to create the key feature.js. All right, and then I'm going to create the pricing. So this will be the pricing.js. And the last one we need to create is the testimonial. So testimonials.js. All right, so now these are the pages which we want. And after the creation of the pages, we are going to create one more folder here, which will have our navbar. All right, and inside the navbar, I'm going to create a navbar.js. .js, and I will also have another file for the CSS. So I'm going to create navbar.css. And let's create one more file for our menu items, which is going to hold all our menu items. So I'm going to click here and I'm going to create a new file which will contain the menu list.js. All right. And now we have the folder structure ready. The first thing we need to do is we need to create the menu list. So let's go to the menu list, and inside the menu list, we are going to create the list of the menu items. So I'm going to do export constant menu list, and this list will be an array with an object inside it, and it's going to have two fields. The first one will be the title. So our title will be home, and the other one will be the URL where it's going to navigate. So if we have a slash, it should navigate to home. And I'm just going to do a copy, and I'm going to paste this for other menu items. All right. And the second one, I will go into the key features, and this will be the route will be a features. Third one will be the pricing. So let's change this to pricing. Fourth one will be the testimonials, and this will be the testimonials. And the last one will be try for free, and this will be the demo. All right, so now we have our menu items, and this menu items we can use it in our navbar component. The next thing is I'm going to install the React Router DOMs package so that we can do the navigation and we can use the routing. So for that, let's go and let's install. So I'm going to install npm install React Router DOM hyphen save, so it will get installed. All right, so now our React Router DOM is installed, and if we go to the package JSON, then we can actually verify it. Now let's go back to the app.js, and inside the app.js we are going to import everything, and we are going to build the complete route. And inside the app.js, I'm going to import the React from React, and I need to import the browser router as going to give an alias to it as router, and I will also need a switch, and I will need a route, and this will be coming from the React Router DOM. So React Router DOM. All right, and then let's go here and now change this. So I'm going to change this, and this will become, I'm going to give a class name as container, and inside the container I'm going to use the router. So if you don't know about the router, I have a detailed video on the React router. You can click on the card above and jump to it directly. So because I'm going to go a little bit fast on this routing part because we have already covered this in another video. So inside the router, I need a navbar, which should be a constant irrespective on which component I am, whether I am on the home component or on the feature component. The navbar will always be a constant. So let's go and add the navbar here. All right, and right now we haven't done anything on each of our component. We are going to write more code into it, and after that we are going to have the routes. So the first route will be having a path, and this path will be the slash for the home, and for this the component it will navigate to is the home component. All right, and the next route will be, let me just copy paste for all the routes. So I'm going to copy this, I'm going to paste this, paste this, paste this, paste this. Yeah, and this second one will become the feature. So let me minimize this, and this will become the feature. So let me copy this, add this feature here, and this is going to become the key feature. All right, so this is what the pages are. So we can see the pages from here, and we can add these pages here. So this will become the key feature. The next route is the pricing. So let me copy this, and I'm going to add the pricing here. Let me copy the testimonials. So I'm going to add the testimonials here. And the last one is the demo. So let me copy this, and I'm going to add the demo here. All right, and this will become demo. This will change to testimonial, and this is going to change to pricing. All right, so now we have all the routes, and we are going to get an error because we haven't imported these components. So let me import one by one. So before importing, let's go and write some of the code in our components, and let's export those components. So let's go first to the navbar. So I'm going to go to the navbar JS, and let me do import React from React. All right, and then I'm going to create a constant, and this constant will be a navbar bar. This will be an arrow function. All right, and in the end, I'm going to export default navbar. All right, and inside this, we are just, for now, we are just going to return a simple div, and I'm going to say navbar. All right, and let's copy this and add it to in each of our page. So for the demo, I'm going to change this to demo. This will get changed to demo, and this will get changed to demo. All right, let's copy this, go to home. I'm going to add this, and I'm going to change this to home. So Control D, and I'm going to change this to home. All right, next let's go to the key feature, and let's copy this and paste this here. And this is going to change to key feature. Let's copy this, add this to the pricing, and this will change to pricing. All right, the next one is the testimonial. So this is going to be a little bit repetitive task, but we don't have an option. We have to do it. So let's take this to testimonials. All right, so now we have created a little bit of components, and we exported those components. Let's import all these components in the app.js. So let me go to the app.js, where it is app.js. All right, and now let's start importing each of the components. So I'm going to import, the first one is the home, and this is coming from the slash pages slash home. All right, and I'm going to just copy this, and I'm going to paste this key feature. So this key feature is coming from the key feature. After that, it's pricing. So let's go and write the pricing. This will become pricing. Testimonials. This will come from testimonials. Demo. So this is going to come from demo. All right, so now we have all the components. The one component is left is the navbar. So let's go, and so I already exported the navbar. We just need to import the navbar. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to add this here, and I'm going to change this to navbar. This is not coming from the pages. This is coming from the navbar slash navbar. All right, so now we have all the components, and now we can see that we get the navbar. And if I go on the home, then I get the same navbar and home. If I go to the pricing, then I get the navbar, home, and pricing. So we need to fix this, and we know that this can be fixed via switch. So let's add the switch here, and I'm going to add the switch here. All right, now we have fixed the switches, and now if I refresh it, then we see the navbar and the home, which is still not correct. So we are going to add the exact here. So let me add the exact, and now if I save it, then I can see the pricing. If I change this pricing to slash, I'm going to see the navbar and home. If I change this to demo, I'm going to see the navbar and demo. So the routing is working fine. And the next thing we need to do is we need to have our navigation bar and the menu items. So let's go to the navbar and let's write the component of the navbar. So inside the navbar, we are going to write some JSX for our navbar. So let's go here and I'm going to change this, and we are going to have a multi-line JSX. So I'm going to use a nav tag, and inside the nav tag, I'm going to write a div with a class name, and I'm going to give a class of logo. So we are not using any CSS framework. So we are going to write the complete CSS from scratch. So inside the logo, I'm going to write a VPN as our logo name, and I'm going to use a font. And inside this, I'm going to have the lab. And after that, I'm going to create a list. So let's create a list, and I'm going to give a class name of menu list. And we need to have this list coming from the menu list.js. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to import the menu list.js. So I'm going to import this first. Let me import, and this will become the menu list from slash menu list. All right, and I'm going to create a constant here with the menu list, and this constant will actually map all the values from the menu list, and we are going to create this list. So I'm going to write a menu list dot map, and inside the map I'm going to do a destructuring. So I need the URL and I need the title. So let me add the title. All right, and then I'm going to return a JSX from here. So this JSX will be a list li, and inside the li I'm going to create an anchor tag with an href of URL. All right, and inside this I'm going to add the title. So let me add the title. All right, and I made a little bit mistake here. All right, so let's change this name actually. Okay, now let's add this menu list in our list here. So I'm going to add this reference here. All right, and now you can see that we have the menu items. But if we do an inspect, and if I see, then I get a warning that each child in a list should have a unique prop. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the index, and I'm actually going to add the key as index. So I'm going to click here, I'm going to add a key, and this key will be the index. All right, and now if I save it, then I will not be able to get that error anymore. So we have this, and now let's go and style our app.css and navbar.css. So I'm going to go to the app.css first. All right, and I'm going to remove everything here, and I'm going to start first with the universal selector, and I'm going to give a margin of 0, padding of 0. I'm going to use box sizing, border box, and I'm going to have the font family, and this font family will be the Roboto, the Google font we are using, and this will become sans serif. All right, and if I save it, our fonts is changed, and in the app.js we have this container. So we need to add the CSS to this container. So let me add the CSS to the container, and I'm going to give a background image. So I already added the background image in my images folder, the BG as a background image, and let's add the background image. So I'm going to write a background URL, and this will be coming from images slash bg. I'm going to give a background position to it as center. Then I'm going to use a background size as cover, and the height will be 100 vertical height, and the width will be 100%. All right, and I'm going to give a position of relative. All right, and now if I save it, then we should be able to see the background image. So the background image is very bright, so we are going to add the black overlay on it. So I'm going to write a container after, and to the container after I'm going to use the background as RGBA 0 comma 0 comma 0 comma 0.6. I'm going to give a content as, so now this is the pure CSS we are doing. It has nothing to do with the React. All right. And then I'm going to give a height of 100%, position to be absolute, then our top 0, bottom 0, right 0, and our left 0. All right, and now we have a little bit overlay on our image. Let's go to the navbar and let's style the navbar.css, and let's see whether we have added the navbar CSS here or not. So let me import it. So I'm going to import the slash navbar.css. All right, and now we can actually start writing the navbar. So first we have the nav, and to the nav I'm going to give a background of RGBA 0, 0, 0, 0.9. All right, then I'm going to give a padding of 20 pixel. I'm going to add a display flex so that I can get the elements in a one direction as a row. I'm going to give a content as center. I'm going to use the color as FFF, and I'm going to use a position relative, and I'm going to give a Z index so that my content will appear above the black layer. So I'm going to give a Z index of 99. All right, so now I can see that I have a black overlay, and let me increase this a little bit. And the next thing we will do is we are going to style our logo. So let's style the logo. So for the logo, I'm going to give a font weight of 600, and I'm going to give a font size of 25 pixel, and then I'm going to give a color of tomato. Right, and then the other one, the logo, inside the logo I have a font. The font I want to give a color as white. All right, and we can see that we have the logo and the menu items and the center. So let me change this to space between. So I'm going to change this to space between. So it's going to give me a space between. All right, and the next we are going to style the menu list. So let's go and style the menu list. So I'm going to go and write menu list, and to the menu list I'm going to use the list style type as none, and display as flex. I want to do the justify content as space between, and I'm going to do the align items as center. All right, so now I have all the new items in a horizontal row. So inside the menu list, we have the LIs. So, and inside the LIs, we have the anchor tags. So let's style the anchor tags. So I'm going to do the menu list. Inside the LI, I have an anchor tag. And inside the anchor tag, we can do the text decoration as none. I can use the color as FFF. Then the font weight should be 300. Padding should be 5 pixel, 10 pixel. And I'm going to give a margin of left 20 pixel. All right, so yes, if I zoom out my screen, then I should be able to see all the menu items. And when we actually hover the menu items, we need to have a hover effect. So let's go and write the hover effect. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to add this, and I'm going to write a hover. And when we actually hover it, I want that my background color should become white, and my border radius should become 2 pixel. The color should become black, and I need a little bit of transition, so that transition for all 0.5 seconds is in out. All right, so now if I hover it, then we can see that we get a beautiful transition. The only thing we need to do is the last one is not the same color. So we need to make this a little bit different. So let's go and add, and I will change this to last child. And the last child will have the font weight of 300. Then I'm going to use the padding, which will be the 5 pixel, 10 pixel. Then I'm going to use the background color, and I'm going to use the color of 01 AACD. Then I'm going to use the transition for this, and transition all 0.5 seconds is in out, and I'm going to give a margin left, which will be a 20 pixel, and I'm going to give a border radius. So let me add the border radius of 2 pixel. All right, so we get the different color for try for free button. So now we have all the button, and if I try to click on any of it, we go to the feature, we can see a feature here. If I click on pricing, we can see pricing here. If we click on testimonial, I can see a testimonial here. We can actually go to these testimonials, and then we can do the styling. So for this, let me go to the home first. So we need to make a little bit different JSX. So if I click here, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a class name here, and I'm going to add the class name of page heading. And inside the page heading, I'm going to do an H1. And inside the H1, I'm going to write the home. All right, and we are going to do the same thing for the key feature as well. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to add this here in the key feature. So now we have created the JSX structure which we want, and we need to do the CSS styling now. So let's go and add the CSS styling. So I'm going to go to my app.css, and I'm going to add the CSS styling here. So for that, I'm going to do the page heading, and to the page heading, I'm going to write a display flex, justify content center, align items as center. Then I will give a minimum height of 80 vertical height, so that I can get my content in the center. I'm going to give a position relative, and I'm going to add a Z index. So let's add a Z index of 2. All right. And for the H1, I'm going to give a little bit bigger font size so that it is more visible. So let's go to the H1. I'm going to add the font size of 5 rem. Then I'm going to give a color of hash FFF. I'm going to give a font weight of 300. Then I'm going to give a background color of RGBA 0,0,0, 0.5. Then I'm going to give a padding of 0 pixel, 20 pixel. All right, and the last one I need to do is the border radius. And I'm going to give the border radius as 2 pixel. All right, so now we have this. So if I click on the home, I should be able to see the home. If I click here, I should be able to see the key feature. And if I click on testimonial, I can see the testimonial. But one thing you will notice that the page is getting refreshed. So we need to make a little fix here. So let's go to the navbar.js, and inside the navbar.js, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to import the nav link from the React router DOM. And we are not going to make use of this anchor tag. Instead of the anchor tag, we are going to use the nav link. and this will become the to the URL which we want to navigate. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to add this here. All right. And we will also do one thing, that when we actually visit any of the menu items, I need to have a active class added to it. So for this, we can actually add the active class name, and I'm going to give an active class name as active. All right. And now I just need to add the CSS for this active class. So for this, we can use the same CSS which we have added here. So here we have added the menu list, LIA, and we have the active class to it. All right. And now if I refresh this, and you will see that when I click on the key features, the home is still the active. So for that, what we can do the exact here. So if I write the exact, then you will see that the one which I'm clicking, it will only be active. So we have done this part pretty well. And if I increase the size, so let me zoom it a little bit. All right. So if I increase the size, then we can see that it's proper, but we need to make this as a responsive. So in order to make this as a responsive, we need to add a little bit more CSS. So what we are going to do is, inside this navbar.js, we need to have a hamburger menu after a certain width. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add some JSX here. So I'm going to write a div with a class name, and I'm going to give a class name of menu icon. All right. And inside this, I'm going to write an I and then class name. And we are going to have a class name as FA-BARS bars. All right. And if I save it, then you will see that we get this hamburger menu. So we are going to add some media queries, and we are going to make this menu items responsive first. So let's go to the navbar.css, and inside the navbar.css, let's add the media query first. So I'm going to do a media screen, and and I'm going to make a breakpoint of width at 800 pixel. All right. And I'm going to make one more breakpoint, and that will be at 600 pixel. So the breakpoints will differ for you and for me. So I'm going to do a logo of font size, and this will become 20 pixel. All right. And then I'm going to do a menu list, LIA, and for that the font size will become 14 pixel, and the margin left will become 10 pixel. And for the 600, what I'm going to do, I don't want to see this menu icon before it reaches to a particular width. So for that, I'm going to add the menu icon as display none. All right. And I'm going to make this M. So I have added the display none, and I want to see it only when the screen size reaches to the 600 pixel. So for that, I'm going to do the menu icon, and I'm going to make this as display block. All right. So that means right now I am in this particular screen size of 600 pixel. And we are going to change this menu list. So let's change this menu list to the, so I'm going to change the flex direction from row to the column. So it will become the column. The width will become 100%. Position will become absolute. And I need to give a background to it. So let me give a background color. I'm going to use RGBA value, and I'm going to change this to 0.7. Then I'm going to give a padding of 20 pixel. I'm going to give a right of 0, and I'm going to give a top of 64 pixel. So if I save it, then yeah, I can see the menu items, and we need to add a little bit more CSS to make this look a little bit more nicer. So I'm going to use menu list li, and I'm going to give a margin bottom of 20 pixel. I'm going to use the width as 100%, And then I'm going to give a text align. So text align as center. All right, the next thing I need to do is I need to add the menu list li the last child. So there is a extra space here, so I need to remove that extra space. So I'm going to do the last child, and to the last child I don't need the margin bottom, so I'm going to do the margin bottom as 0 pixel. So I'm going to make this width of the anchor tag as a fixed width, so they all look a little bit similar. So for that I'm going to do the menu list li a, and this should also be applied to menu list li last child anchor tag, and I need a width of 100 pixel, and I will make this as display block so that it takes the width, and I'm going to add a margin of auto. All right, so now this looks proper. The next thing we will do is I need to make this as clickable. So when I click it, it should be changed to a cross icon. So for that, in the navbar, we need to use a state, and I'm actually going to import the state. So I made a little mistake here. This should be capital R. All right, and I'm going to make a use of use state, and let's create a state of constant. The name of the state will be clicked, and I'm going to do the set clicked, and the initially I want to make this as false, so I'm going to make this as false false. So when I actually click on it and when the click becomes true, I need to make this as a cross icon. So I will go here and I'm going to add a condition here, and the condition will be if it is clicked. If the value of the clicked is true, then I need to add a CSS of fas fa times, and this is going to give me the cross icon. And if it is false, then I'm going to add the fas fa bars. All right, so let me remove this now. All right, so now we have added the condition for the class name, but we need to also add a click handler. So let me add a click handler here. So on click, and on click I will have a handle click function, and I will write this function. So I will go here, I'm going to do a constant handle click, and this is an arrow function, and this will set the state to whatever the state is. If it is false, then it's going to set it as true. If it is true, it's going to set it as false. And now if I click, then it actually changes from cross to the hamburger menu. But we need this to be in a little bit of transition. So let's go and add the CSS for this transition. So I will go to the nav bar, and inside the nav bar, I'm going to add the transition. So first I will add the cursor pointer, and then I'm going to add the dot menu icon for the FA times. And for this, I need to add a transform of rotate 360 degree. It should be 360 degree. And let's add a transition. So I'm going to add a transition of all 0.2 seconds, ease in out. And for the other one, so I'm going to copy this and I'm going to add, and for the other one, which is the bars, and for the bars I'm going to rotate it at 180. So I'm going to give this rotation a little bit different so that I can see the proper transition on both the classes. So now if I click it, we can see the transition effect. All right, the next thing we need to do is when we click it, we should be able to slide this. So let's go to the menu again, and inside the last one, so I'm going to create a new class as menu list close. So right now it's open, so I'm going to create a new class with a menu list as close. So I'm going to add the menu list here, and I'm going to write this as close. All right, so let me add a dot here, and I'm going to do a write of -100%. So you can actually do with the transform translate X, but I am using the right, but the transform is more performant as compared to the right. So I will be giving a transition. So I need a transition effect when the right value changes from 0 to -100. So this will complete in 5 seconds. I'm going to give an ease out, and let's add the same transition to the menu list here as well. All right. And now if I refresh it, then it will not work because we have to make a little bit modification in navbar.js. So in the navbar.js, I have a menu list. So I need to add a condition here. So let's add a condition here. So if this is clicked, if it is true, then it should have a menu list. And if it is false, then it should have a menu list, and it should also have a close. Okay, so now if I click it, it's not working. I made a little bit mistake. So if I go to the navbar, we have that when it is clicked, if it's true, it should be menu list. If it's false, then it should be the close. And if we go to the navbar CSS, oops, so this should not be, this should be like this. All right. So now if I save it and if I click it, then we can see that we get the scroll bar. So we can remove the scroll bar if we go to the container and if we write as overflow hidden. All right, and now if I click it, then I should be able to see all the menu items. So if I click it, the URL gets changed, and you can now create your own functionality for each of the components. All right, so if I make it in the last screen, then I should be able to see it clearly. All right, so this is how you can actually make the navigation bar responsive and in the React and React router. So I hope this video was helpful. You like the video, a thumbs up is appreciated. Don't forget to subscribe the channel and press the bell icon so that you don't miss the videos like this one. You can get the code for the reference. I will add the link in the description below. You can connect with me via Facebook or Instagram, or you can follow me on Twitter for the latest updates. And thanks for watching.